The responses to the Ginny and Georgia joke were all of them tweeting out screenshots of other jokes about Taylor Swift and TV shows, being like, this is how you should actually make a joke about Taylor Swift. It should be respectful. And I'm like, okay, that's not actually how jokes work.
Right.
Somebody has to get disrespected.
Welcome to Keep It, Crooked Media's show about pop culture and politics and what happens when they smack into each other at an alarming speed. I'm your host, Ira Madison III, a television writer and Fall Out Boy fan.
I'm Louis Fertel. I'm a TV writer and Jane Fonda historian.
And I'm Aida Osman. I'm a TV writer and alleged comedian.
Let's get into it.
The celebrities have had it.
They tired. They tired.
They are tired. Specifically, Taylor Swift and Jonah Hill had some call-outs to do this past weekend. Taylor Swift is mad at Netflix, and Jonah Hill went after the Daily Mail. But let's get into Miss Taylor first.
I'm always interested in the idea of Taylor Swift watching media.
TV!
Isn't that
right?
weird to think of her
She didn't
watching
watch
this show?
shit.
You don't think
No,
she
there's
did?
no way.
Shit.
Somebody
No.
was like, they're talking about you, girl. And she was like, let me stop plunking out middle C and writing a song right now. And I'm going to go handle this on Twitter.
No, so what happened, I believe, is there's this Netflix show called Ginny and Georgia, which from the trailer looks like some Gilmore Girls knockoff.
The girls aren't even watching this show. That's the thing.
No one's
too.
watching it. The only thing that I saw from it over the weekend was a viral clip of two half-white characters arguing about who was whiter,
Not half-white.
and like using the term oppression Olympics. So it was already a horribly written show from our knowledge of it, and I don't think she watched it at all. I think some Taylor Swift fan watched it and saw this bad joke in it where someone says,
You go through men faster than Taylor Swift.
and apparently Respect Taylor Swift was like trending over the weekend lightly, and of course whenever her fans get something trending, that's how she sees it. One, why care about it is my question. And two, yes, it's a sexist joke, and it is a joke that seems like it is from 2010.
That is
and
right. No one should be proud of that joke because it's
No.
especially dated.
Call out the bad joke, but my thing is how she then decided to jump into her ego and make this about just sort of like feminism in general, like Happy Women's History Month, I guess, is how she ended her tweet. And then she also called out Netflix for doing this after Miss Americana was on Netflix. And I just want to point out that the insistence that Netflix, because they made a project with you once, should then be monitoring the content that writers make on any of their shows or films is Gestapo-like.
And it's like she borrowed the rhetoric of other important conversations to say, clearly you shouldn't have said one thing about me in this comedy show. Look, again, I'm not saying it's not a contrived joke, but it does feel like throwing her weight around in a way that feels, I don't want to say irresponsible, but ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Redefine the narrative, girl. That's what I just got. Just redefine that you are not, going through men. You are showing them they're indispensable. And this should actually give you power. Move forward. Do what you need to do. But that's the thing with Taylor Swift is, like, you are a public figure. You are always going to be the butt of a joke now. That's not a sexism conversation we need to be having at this moment. I'm sorry, Taylor. Get over it.
I also think, okay, like goes through men, like that does feel like very ancient Jay Leno era joke setup for like
It's a
talking
bad
about a woman.
joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
That said, though, it's interesting because her career was also about associations with certain famous men that I can identify by name. So I'm not saying like it's bad that you dated. Like I that might be my favorite thing about Taylor Swift, that I can track her dating life in a sort of Elizabeth Taylor way. That's like the era of celebrity I want back. You know?
I wish I could.
That's the sentiment though. It's like she dated like Taylor Lautner and Joe Jonas. I've dated probably as many men as Taylor Swift has dated, but mine was like a cashier at Jamba Juice. Nobody's fucking talking about him. You know, like she just needs to accept that. And
She literally spoke in a British accent during a performance once to indicate, oh yes, I am talking about Harry Styles.
yeah,
You know,
she wrote a song called "Style" while she was dating him. She really does attract this attention, and now like doesn't know how to handle it when we address that it exists.
Well, what's interesting about Taylor is, and what we talked about during the Folklore and Evermore conversation, right, is she sort of improved her songwriting and even sort of like status within the industry by getting away from the autobiographical and going into sort of like the storytelling that she's doing on these albums, right? Like, I think like the working with someone like Aaron Dessner of The National and like working with Bon Iver is giving her like this different cred in the industry in the way that a lot of people would have not wanted to like associate with even just the name Taylor Swift. And now I feel like every producer in the game would love to work with her, right? So I feel like she's come into her own new era and she wants to leave that one behind. But the easiest thing to do would be to, one, ignore it, because Swifties getting respect Taylor Swift trending is ridiculous, because the responses to the Jenny and Georgia joke were all of them tweeting out screenshots of other jokes about Taylor Swift and TV shows, being like, this is how you should actually make a joke about Taylor Swift. It should be respectful. And I'm like, okay, that's not actually how jokes work.
right?
And mind your
has to get
business.
disrespected.
Okay, stay out of comedians' business. Two, going back to what you were saying, Lewis, it was incredibly irresponsible because, for one, now you have Swifties attacking the actress Antonia Gentry, being like, apologize to Taylor Swift on her Instagram, a girl who is half black. So now you have white fans attacking a black girl on the internet at the behest of a rich white woman for a joke written by two white women.
And
Because that
also
black actress
shared-
did not write it. Two older white women wrote this joke. They're clearly hack writers because of this dumb joke in the other scene that went viral. But now because of you tweeting this out, like, a black girl's being attacked by your fans, girl. So congrats. Happy Women's History Month indeed.
It was not a tailored argument, if you will. I'm sorry to use that play on words. But
And that goes to this era of Taylor Swift that I thought we were past, right? You know, this like having the Swifties like attack someone like this is out of hand. Like this isn't a Kanye situation. This isn't a Scooter Braun situation. Like you could have left this alone. And as I said before,
it was surprising to read.
Yeah, and as I said before, the implication that because they worked with her, like Netflix should make sure that no joke about Taylor Swift is ever in anything that comes out on their platform is wild. It's sort of an even worse version of the Selena Gomez fans getting that joke pulled from Saved by the Bell.
Oh, right. I want to actually challenge people to write good Taylor Swift jokes because, by the way, when I look back at my old Taylor Swift jokes, and you know I was all about that once upon a time, probably problematically, I just don't like them anymore. It feels like they're all jokes that like are in the style. Like there was like one joke area you could work with on her. And so if you have a really good one, I would just like to read it because it should be a fresh new place for us.
A celebrity call out I did agree with this week, though, was Jonah Hill calling out the Daily Mail.
Had to be done.
As we mentioned before, the Daily Mail loves to publish paparazzi photos of celebrities with wild headlines. The one this time was them like stalking him while he was surfing. And the headline is, Jonah Hill slips into his black wetsuit for surf date in Malibu before showing off his tattoos while going shirtless to towel himself off. First of all, what a headline.
Yeah. Any
So
more information
long.
you want to throw in? Yeah.
So long and mundane. And also, I'm really searching for the insult in the headline. I understand why Jonah Hill reacted the way he did because this has been building up for years and years. And I'm so happy that he got to a point where he's like, I accept my body, fuck all of you guys. But I didn't understand what was unflattering about what they said.
Yeah, so this is the interesting part about the Jonah Hill thing. I'm actually glad that he finally addressed, the idea, he was like, this is for the kids who like never take their shirt off in the pool, or like talked, and he's talked before in GQ about how people are calling him a fashion like icon now, right? Or they like his style, but they never used to say that because it was like he was fat. And so it was like you can't sort of be like, oh, he looks great in clothes because one, a lot of clothes aren't designed to fit him, or you're just paying attention to one specific thing, I mean, I know what Jonah Hill's going through because I often used to find it hard to specifically dress and then having people comment on things that you were wearing. But I will say this was a situation where he was mad about years of the media talking about his body in a certain way and used this incident to talk about that. I don't think the specific headline and photos themselves were insulting.
Yeah, it was a pressure cooker.
Though also it's like when you're surprised to see yourself, because obviously he's just out in public. Like I don't think he planned on getting his picture taken. That there has to be something just so jarring about that. You're not looking at your body in a mirror. You're looking at it, out in a place where everybody can see it. That's a strange situation for anybody. But also, I think about just the dialogue about Jonah Hill in general over the years, and it's a little bit confused. Like he was once a very funny actor, still is funny occasionally, but then became the serious thing. And I remember personally, like, I don't know about wanting to mock him for being a self-serious person. The way that I kind of would want to mock like a Jim Carrey for trying to make The Majestic or whatever fucking bullshit he was trying to peddle that wasn't Eternal Sunshine the one time he got it right. But like, I feel like there's something with Jonah Hill where it's about being taken seriously too that I think has always sat with him the wrong way. And I do remember complaining that he had as many Oscar nominations as Vivien Leigh. I do remember that about myself.
Especially now as he transitions into like after having directed mid-90s and clearly wanting to be someone who is celebrated in a serious way. It does make sense for him to be having these feelings. Jonah, I see you and I love you.
I know. Listen, I actually really like Jonah Hill. And as I said, I really did actually personally relate to his Instagram caption. So I'm glad that he did write it. And it's nice to see a male celebrity sort of get to have that conversation too, because it's usually women having to talk about how their bodies are talked about in the media. And we sort of ignore, how we talk about men in the media too, because obviously he would have a lot of those hang-ups, when now we've shifted to an era where it's like instead of like Maxim magazine covers, right? Now we're like every celebrity has to have 12 abs if you're a male, and they're plastered everywhere. And going to his acting thing, Lewis, I definitely, when he talks about how like people used to see him just as like that schlubby guy from Superbad, right? I think the thing about Jonah was that he was very funny in comedies, right? But unlike a Jim Carrey or like even an Adam Sandler, it wasn't like he was a comedian.
Right.
And so for him, I guess he had always thought, like, I've done comedies, but like I can also do serious stuff because I am an actor. And for him, it was less about, oh, I'm a comedian, but now I would like to do like a serious thing. Like for him, it felt more like I need to prove to people that I am actually a versatile actor.
Correct. We mistook him for a comedian. Correct.
Yeah. And then when he's starting to do those serious roles, it to us, it sort of seemed like, why is he doing this? But for him, it was probably like, yeah, I like doing both of those. It reminds me of the conversation we had with Adam Scott, right? Where we talked about, because he's not specifically like a stand-up comedian, but we asked him like, oh, you've done a lot of more serious roles lately, like The Big Little Lies and stuff like that. And, when he told us that he likes doing both, but people tend to just see him as a comedic actor because of Parks and Rec and Party Down and stuff. So,
and I would imagine it'd be really difficult to come up with a Will Ferrell and who is just a comedian and is hilarious, and also someone like a Matthew McConaughey who is in movies with these guys but is just hot, and a Seth Rogen who is someone we laugh at and enjoy, and then Jonah Hill was just there like I love what I do and I look like this, and so I imagine that's really difficult, but I do truly love Jonah and I can't wait to see the rest of his career flourish.
Same. Well, actually, I would also lastly say that an interesting model for Jonah was probably Seth. Because, you know, like
Yeah.
you said, laugh at, we used to see Seth Rogen in sort of the same way. And then there was the period where Seth shifted into,
Hip hop culture.
I'm wearing suits and, well, hip hop culture, but also he's just stoned all the time, right? Shout out to his new,
weed line or
his
whatever.
new weed line.
Girl. It's going to be a
listen.
week for me next week. It's going to be a rough week. I might not show up to recording next week, guys.
I'm like, listen, if Seth Rogen is saying that this weed is good, then I certainly will be smoking it. I feel like if I smoke any of this weed, though, I'm going to be dead for a month.
Right.
Guys, all Seth Rogen has transitioned into like artisanal mom phase. Like he's at home making
He's doing
pots
pottery and stuff.
And
but
I love it.
aside from just the hip hop culture thing, it was also like there was that period where Seth shifted into like, I'm wearing a really good tailored suit on this red carpet. And I'm on the cover of GQ. So like he went through that same sort of Jonah Hill transformation. And I have to imagine that like Jonah has seen that happen and is sort of like the way that people talked about Seth's body and the way that people talk about it now, how he is sort of maybe just a model for him, you know? Like I always appreciated about Seth, particularly during like the long shot press tour, speaking of Charlize Africa, right? Where he would always wear something nice at their press things alongside her, right? Instead of what actors would generally do, where it's like, I'm just going to wear a T-shirt and the actress can wear this designer dress.
Yes.
Right.
Like he always made a point to look good because he's like, I'm doing exactly what Charlize is doing.
The Ed Sheeran Beyonce conundrum. I remember it well. 2018. Yes.
Who gets to be perfect? Only one. Only one can be perfect.
He's coming. He's coming, by the way. He dropped a new single and the Ed Sheeran is upon us.
Woof. I mean, not that I hate him or anything, but my God, is he
yeah.
loom large? Like, people
Y'all
should
gonna
not
hate-
be that big. It was too fast. Yeah.
Y'all are going to hate when I start standing Ed Sheeran on the show because I do like him. Anyway.
No, I'm with you, Ira. I'm with you. And
Thank
it wasn't
you.
too fast, Lewis. He was homeless, Lewis. He was homeless.
The three members of the Black Ed Sheeran fan club, the president is Jamie Foxx.
Exactly. The real A-team. We're the A-team.
Yes.
Justin Timberlake must enjoy looking stupid. That must be his new pastime that he's on this week. Because underneath that Jonah Hill post that we were just talking about, he commented, Jonah Hill is my spirit animal. Oof. Girl, you just got done apologizing for something 10 minutes ago. Now you got to go apologize to the Native American community because I'm just done. I'm done with you. I'm done with the lack of awareness and the lack of sensitivity. And we already thought that the whole apology was bullshit. The whole apology tour was bullshit. And now I'm just like, Justin, you're not all there. You're not all there. You need to be sat down. I need to sit you down and have a conversation. This is not okay.
Have they been in a movie together? Because I'm trying to think of like what his even connection with like stay out of Jonah Hill's business. Like Jonah Hill's not thinking about you, Justin Timberlake. And also, it's very funny to me when celebrities still use like the spirit animal thing, just because I specifically remember Rihanna a few years ago using the phrase spirit animal, and a fan commented on Instagram that we shouldn't use that phrase. And she actually responded, "Thank you for letting me know that. I'll never use it again." And I'm
That's
like,
all
if
it
Rihanna's
is.
doing that, come on.
That's all it is. And like, I had to recently learn this too. Like Lizzo talked about it as well when she was talking about the Rihanna situation, that this is a word that is sensitive to the First Nations people and we don't need to be using it. We don't understand their culture and we already are disrespecting their land that we are just trouncing all over.
Yeah.
So,
Unfortunately, that means that 25% of BuzzFeed articles will have to vanish from the internet.